Hello there once again, and welcome to the Talkin' Shit podcast. As always, I'm the Film Snob, and as always, we have some shit to talk about today. We're going to discuss some fake news. Now, I'm not talking about the quote-unquote fake news that the president keeps bringing up, but I'm talking about the fake news in the media that is overtaking the news about media, and that is movies in general, really. A lot of reputable sites and reporters and critics have basically been reporting a lot of stuff that they've had to turn around and backtrack on, but it's not really their fault. It's because there's not a lot of control going on as far as how the media is controlled of coming out of a lot of these film companies now. You have had a lot of issues with Warner Brothers lately, with Ben Affleck coming out and saying he's directing, then saying he's not going to direct, with the talks about Matt Reeves coming on to direct the Batman instead of Ben, and then those talks supposedly falling apart, only to be confirmed that he is directing the Batman not even a couple days later. This just goes to show me that Warner Brothers does not have anybody who's really controlling the information that goes in and out, and they really need people to start to control the rumors that are abound, because it's causing a lot of confusion and frustration. And this really brings me to the big news that I wanted to talk about, unfortunately. The rumor going around that they were going to announce the unaltered versions of Star Wars at Celebration this year was probably a little premature and sadly wrong. Almost every news site has been reporting that the unaltered versions were going to come this year, and this comes off of a lot of rumors, and that was given some weight when Gareth Edwards supposedly had seen a 4K restoration of the original Star Wars. That may have been misinterpreted, because according to Disney's Director of Library Restoration Preservation, the original cut negative for the film that currently exists is only in the special edition form. In addition to that, 20th Century Fox's Senior Vice President of Library and Technical Services, Sean Belston, had confirmed that all of the trims removed from the original cut negative in the 1990s to create the special editions do exist, but the only version that currently exists in a film form is the special editions only. They could put it together. It technically does not exist, like Lucas said, but the elements are still there. To add more darkness to this rumor, Lucas was stated as saying everybody signs on to bring forth the director's vision. That's part of the way movies are made and always have been. The real issue is whether a corporation that buys a film 10 years later has the right to change it. My response continues to be no. And this is kind of hypocritical in a way to Lucas, because he went in front of Congress and fought for the preservation of films and against colorization and altering of films, when he turns around and alters other directors' films. Yeah, he was the producer and one of the writers, but he did not direct Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And neither one of those directors are with us any longer and have no say in the matter, so I honestly think he has no right to touch those films, or at least not to release the original, or at least doesn't have a right to not to let the original versions be released. And I'm not even talking about the crappy Laserdisc rips he put on DVD a few years back. I'm talking about proper HD releases of these films. And it's also very hypocritical that he at least will not allow the original version of Star Wars to be available, because granted, it's one thing, most people think that Star Wars fans just don't like the special editions. It's not that we don't like them, it's not that we don't think they should exist, it's not that we probably would never watch them if the other versions were around, but that's just the problem. The other versions aren't around, or at least accessible legally at this point in acceptable versions. There's absolutely no reason or argument that dignifies justifies these films not being available. And all Lucasfilm and Disney and Fox are doing are losing money at this point, and I can't imagine they're behind this, but there's probably nothing they can do and their hands are tied, leading more to believe that the answer to whether or not Lucas has any control over the original films or had a stipulation within the contract when they sold Lucasfilm over to Disney is that he does obviously have some control or put some stipulations as to whether or not what versions would be available. The Library of Congress has tried time and time again to get the original version for their library of films, but have not been able to acquire one because Lucas keeps sending the special edition, and it's just preposterous. Whether you care the other versions are available or not, you cannot sit back and say that it is right that the other versions are not available. And I feel like a lot of people wouldn't have as many issues with the special editions if the other versions were available, and I just gotta say that. But to put the rumors to bed, no, the big announcement or big surprise at Celebration this year is not going to be about the unaltered versions of Star Wars. Sorry guys, sadly to report that. So basically, just don't get your hopes up of that happening anytime soon. Also on the fake Star Wars news, there was reports going around that there were reshoots being done because of the death of Carrie Fisher. This has also been shot down. There is no reshoots going on, at least not this early, because it would be way too early for a film to have their standard reshoots that are generally scheduled. In other quick entertainment news to talk about, Simon Kinberg is on board to take over the reins on the next X-Men film, which would be technically the fourth film in the First Class series. Of course, before you had the original X-Men films that Bryan Singer directed, X-Men 1 and 2, and then 3, which Brett Ratner did, and was not really well received. You've had the Wolverine films, Wolverine Origins, and the Wolverine. The first not very well received, the second one got lukewarm response to good response for most people, and the new film coming out March 3rd, or already out by the time you listen to this for some, is getting positive buzz, so hopefully at this point that's a good sign for that film. Kinberg has also been talking about doing another Fantastic Four film. I think this is a mistake. The fourth film in the new X-Men series, or the latest X-Men movie, is supposed to be about the Phoenix Saga, which should make a lot of fans happy, but Apocalypse, the last film in the series, got a very negative response from most people and critics, so it'll be interesting to see if this next movie harbors a lot of the same problems as the last one, or you can chalk the last one up to Bryan Singer in the studio and so on. So we'll see if Kinberg can take this over, if it'll be too much on his shoulders. He's kind of been the one overseeing things over there at Fox for them when it comes to their superhero projects. Till there's more news to talk about, just keep talking shit. Next month, Kong Skull Island comes out, and to celebrate, I'm going to be reviewing a bunch of the King Kong films over the years, and I'm going to be giving away a digital version of Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong next month, along with doing all the reviews. But if you want to be eligible, though, you got to head over to the Facebook, and the link's down below. Just go ahead and click like on the Facebook, and when the announcement comes up, you'll be ready to go then. As always, keep talking shit.